Imagination is one of the cornerstones of the creative process, and it's also one of the three subject matters for this video, alongside with given circumstances and magic if. I am trying a slightly different structure for this video, and therefore, if you're particularly short on time, you will be able to learn everything I have to share with you in this video over the first 60 seconds after this introduction. However, if you do have a bit more time, then I recommend you sticking around, because I will be able to provide more details, more examples on how to apply these three principles of acting system towards music interpretation and music performance. You'll have more information to start applying it toward the pieces of music that you're currently working on. And also, I will provide a couple of self-reflection questions. You will see those in a couple of minutes. At the end of the video, you will have a quick summary with key takeaways, key actionable items that will help you to actually apply that system in your own daily work. With all of that being said, introduction is behind. Here starts a minute or so summary of what you're about to learn. Pick up the notebooks or journals, and also feel free to take screenshots of any slides that you'll find useful for your work. One brief way to look at this element of the acting system, given circumstances, is everything that we can discover or imagine to be true about a piece of music that we are learning. Any background information on the composer or the piece, as well as discovering any organic, natural ways to put events that are happening in the realm of the sound into the words and images describing the scenery, action, atmosphere, and of course, emotion. Magic if is not believing that you are the character in the piece of music, but triggering yourself to feel empathy with the role or the character by assuming circumstances that composer lived through or that composer tried to convey through the music. As I already mentioned, both of these two elements come to life through our imagination, but there is a very big component that we can't ignore and that I'm going to talk about in the next video. All of the given circumstances, all of the magic ifs that we're going to come up with based on what we discover about the piece, all of that has to be logical, has to make sense to ourselves, and we have to believe in the actuality, in the truthfulness, honesty of all of those facts and details. Thank you for sticking so far. There's going to be nothing new in the rest of the video. However, if you have time and you want to see a bit more in-depth look into these components, stick around. The second half of the video is for you. Trying to answer these questions can be an interesting exercise for our mind, and also help us to alleviate some of the performance anxiety next time we are on the concert, as asking ourselves these questions and on a regular basis looking into those answers, without a doubt, is going to provide a positive impact and going to create a difference in the way how you practice, in the way how you prepare for your next event. Let me reiterate this one more time. Trying to answer all of these questions, or some of them, and coming up with new questions and finding your personal answers is undoubtedly going to shape the way you prepare for the next event, for the next performance. And figuring out the given circumstances can be easily one of the first steps that's going to enhance your experience on the stage. Is going to provide more meaning, more purpose for it, and help. It's also finding those given circumstances going to help you to provide a much more concrete answer to the question, what is it that you're trying to convey to the audience? The first slide gave us a general idea. The process of embodying the piece of music looks approximately like this. At first, we need to establish the given circumstances. Then, we need to genuinely believe in them. And then, magic if will help us to bring to life, without forcing, our emotions, together with our genuine belief in those emotions. When trying to figure out the meaning of an absolute piece of music, start by exploring the background of the piece. What inspired composer? Any cultural, historic, political, personal events in the life of the composer or of the country where she or he lived in. Letters, influences from other pieces of music by the same composer or from the influences from the pieces from other composers. Be curious, and for sure, invest time not just in the practice room and your instrument, but invest time into this kind of a detective work, regardless of which degree you're pursuing in the institution or if you have already graduated from the institution. No, there is no unobtainable magic in the magic if. Magic if posts questions that are centered around the idea that if this was happening, or if I was in such circumstances, what would I be doing? Let me give you, as brief as I can, an example based on one of the piano pieces, and I will be able to provide you both given circumstances and my own magic ifs. So the piece is Beethoven's Piano Sonata number 26, known as Les Adieux, also known as Das Lebewohl, also known as The Farewell. With all the titles like Moonlight, For Elise, Pathétique, this is one of the few examples of the titles that Beethoven actually gave to his piece of music. It was written, and this is part of the given circumstances, the piece was written on the departure of Archduke Rudolf from Vienna in spring of 1809, as Napoleon was advancing on the city and all the aristocracy had to flee. So the three movements of the sonata, the first one is the farewell, the second one is the absence, and the third one is the return. Beethoven puts the title of the first movement and of the entire sonata, actually, over the first three notes of the piece. It says Lebewohl, farewell. Needless to say that this three-note motive actually unites the whole first movement, but this is a story for an entirely different video. The point is, here's our given circumstances. It's a little bit easier to find those because this is a semi-program piece of music, and why I'm saying semi-program, that's also a story for an entirely different separate video. But we can quickly look into the title page of his Pastoral Symphony number 6, which he wrote 1 year prior to 26 Piano Sonata, and we'll find some hints on that title page. The given circumstances for Piano Sonata number 26 is that the dearest friend, and more than that, to Beethoven, his supporter, his student, Archduke Rudolf, has to flee, has to leave the country, or at least the city. Beethoven wrote 10, if not more, major works and dedicated them to Archduke Rudolf. Some of them are Archduke Trio, of course. I believe Violin Sonata number 10, Piano Concertos number 4 and number 5, and there are many more others. So we can only imagine what was happening in his heart as his dear friend and special person was living into uncertainty, because the journey could have been quite dangerous, and so on and so on. This is given circumstances. Historic event, Napoleon. We have a personal event. Friend has to leave. Here's magic if. We can imagine what would we have felt if we were in the shoes of Beethoven. We can twist it around and we can imagine how do we feel as the Archduke, living our own home. But there is more to that. The magic if is that it's really magic. We can spin it around in a countless number of ways. We can imagine how does it feel for us when we're standing, for example, in the airport, and our friend is departing or a family member is departing. We can think about the third moment, the return, and in fact, the music is a lot more positive because, well, Archduke is returning, I suppose, as far as music is concerned. And we can imagine similarly that we are at the airport waiting for the friend's arrival, for the significant other or a family member arrival, or vice versa. We are the ones to arrive. That's the idea behind one of the ideas, one of the ways to approach magic if. Another one would be if it's a more pastoral kind of music, what if it's raining? What if it's just gray and cloudy? What if it's first part of the day? What if it's evening? How would it sound like if the music was background to that scenery? I will be coming back to these two core elements, given circumstances and magic if, throughout the video. But as always, I look forward to interacting more if there is a need using the comment section. In a number of chapters, Stanislavski poses these questions in order to help actor students to find their own magic if. And on the surface level, it might appear that these questions are not very applicable to the absolute piece of music. However, I can only recommend that we refrain from and hold on to our judgments for the time being. And you will see why momentarily. If we keep looking for links between what and why, then they will help us to discover how to phrase, shape, balance, how fast, how loud, how intense of a diminuendo is necessary, which part of the bow, how little pedal, and so on. I'm going to touch up a few more points regarding imagination before wrapping up this video and providing you a quick summary and actionable items that you can use in your own work. As Boris Berman said in his book that I was referring to in the first video, we have many more blanks, empty spots to fill in. And this is not just true for the absolute music, this is also true for program piece of music with a backstory as well, because not every single phrase is going to be clear on the surface level what that phrase is depicting, imitating, trying to convey, what sort of a word painting is happening. So, every phrasing, timing, articulation, all of those decisions that we make in the piece, and then us bringing that interpretation to the audience, should be the result of our imagination. Now I want to leave you with a small appetizer for the next video. Stanislavski was comparing acting, in our case that's music performance and music interpretation, or interpretation and performance. So he was comparing acting to a path, to a journey. And he was saying that we need to create a well-defined path. He was saying that our emotions are not sufficient to guide us through that path. And while there was a recipe, and there is a recipe for actors, he was saying that actors should rely on the physical actions. I suppose the comparable recipe for us is that we can rely on creating a very detailed story, very detailed plot behind every single note that we play and every single sound that we make. And here is the cliffhanger part for the next video. This path that we create, this journey that we come up with, has to make sense. Each phrase and every section should logically and organically transition into the next one. And we have to be able to believe in the logical, organic, or natural connection between every single note. Every marking and our interpretation of it has to be truthful and justified. If you want to learn more about all of that and more, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for sticking around, happy practicing, and the summary is coming up now.